So we got this tweet today. Heads up, adventurers. Details on our newest patch are coming May 19th. Look forward to adjustments to both Battlegrounds and Standard, including nerfs and buffs. So as was already teased in an AMA, nerfs and buffs coming this Thursday. And that's not just the details, but the patch has been confirmed also coming May 19th. So in 3 days, we're going to get nerfs and buffs. And I wanted to talk with you guys about which cards you think are most likely to be nerfed and buffed. So I think we all can acknowledge Drekthar is the most obvious and terrifying offender in the current meta. Now, obviously, Drekthar is a dilemma for Blizzard because they just sold this for $25 for the Diamond Drekthars, which you'll note I do not have. I'm too cheap for that myself, and I play this game for a job. So will Drekthar be avoided because of the $25 thing? I certainly hope not. I think that would suck. I hope he's still impacted. I don't know how they're going to kind of make right or make do on the people who paid the $25. There's an argument they shouldn't have to because they can expect cards to change, but I still think it'd be nice to give some token appreciation to people who spent $25 expecting Drekthar to be a part of their favorite deck, and then maybe he gets nerfed and sucks. That's a lame experience for everybody. So what would you guys do to make Drekthar worse? Make him a 3-3, says Vesley Lopez. I could certainly see a 3-3 Drekthar being a reasonable nerf. I think health total in particular is the great way to go with this. I would almost maybe even make him like a 4-2 or a 3-2 so that he's very easy to kill. Because right now what happens is sometimes this will summon like 14 health in stats, just like crazy 5 health 3 drops and a 4 health 3 drop, and it's just so much that you can't get through all of it. I think if you lower the health on Drekthar, often part of the scariness is this like 4 damage that just sticks around for a turn or two, whacking you in the face. If you make it really easy to kill Drekthar at 2 health, I think you still get the like upside of summoning the stuff, cheating things out of your deck. That's there, but you lose that like persistent threat of this 4/4, making him much, much easier to kill. I don't like mana changes as much. Like, push him to 3 mana. It might sound like a buff, but it's also sort of a nerf, obviously, because you have to run cheaper minions. He can only summon 2 drops instead of 3 drops. I think he'd still be pretty gross as a 3 mana 3/3 that summoned 2 drops, honestly. There are some decks that wouldn't care. Like, you'd still get Raj in Face Hunter, or in Quest Hunter. That's a 2 drop. It would just shift Quest Hunter. Probably would almost be better in Quest Hunter, but maybe worse in Demon Hunter. Summon them dormant. That's a neat idea I haven't thought about before. Summon 2 of them dormant. So you still get the kind of overall value, but you sacrifice some of that immediate pressure and tempo. That's a nice idea, actually. Yeah, and it doesn't utilize a keyword that's not already being utilized. It doesn't do anything weird. I think actually the card text would fit. That's a pretty good idea. Summon 2 of them dormant. It would definitely make the card weaker. I mean, there's no question. Delaying that pressure by a turn, basically delaying the attacks by an additional turn. It would give opponents a lot more time to deal with it, but still help you thin your deck, still give you a big pile of stuff. 1 minion is also a pretty easy fix. Yeah, I mean, obviously if it just summoned 1, that would dramatically lower the power level, maybe too much. Just make it summon wolves. I don't know, then it's not really worth it because the deck building I like the way it kind of fuses all the deck building requirements together and makes you have to think about your deck. It's just the payoff that's too high. From a design standpoint, there's cool stuff happening here, right? You have to think about how to structure your deck. You have to run only low cost stuff. You want to maintain some of that, I think, for feel, but you just want to lower the power level. Some of them with 1 health, that's kind of a neat idea. That's another way to do what I was talking about, which is solve the health problem so that the board's not so resilient when it gets summoned. Yeah, Dormant could make them better in Quest Hunter again because of like Raj. Yeah, you could just get Raj and then have a guaranteed Raj on your turn that your opponent can't kill, and then that might be worse. Yeah, that's a good point. Overload wouldn't normally exist in a neutral card outside of Shaman. I honestly, I know it's kind of the most boring change, but I honestly think just making it a lower stat line solves a lot of problems. Making it a 2/2, a 3/2, summon 2/2 copies of minions from your deck, so limiting the stats of the summoned minions. That's kind of a neat idea. A lot of good ideas, honestly. I'm very intrigued. Number 1, if this will get changed because of the kind of monetary fallout that could happen, and then number 2, how to change it, because there's a lot of ways to change it. Let's go look at Demon Hunter, other cards that I think are targets, and then if you guys can mention if you think others are. So between Dread Prison, Glaive, and Multi-Strike, which do you guys think is the number 1 bigger offender or more likely to be changed, and how would you do it? I think, making this 2 durability, making this 2 mana, both very easy, obvious changes. Now, I would personally say Multi-Strike. It's kind of the newer card. Often the newer one gets nerfed. It is a rare versus a common, so can get you guys some extra dust if this gets nerfed. Most of you are saying multi-strike to 2 mana. Multi-strike with Puffer Fist is so dirty. Yeah, multi-strike's just good in a lot of ways. It just enables a lot of craziness. Multi-strike should be 2 mana 100%. 3 mana, some people are saying. I think tripling it would be pretty extreme. I think 2 mana is pretty reasonable. I think it's, yeah, I agree. It's actually still often probably decent at 2 mana. It's just not crazy, you know, swingy, absurd as it is now. I think at 2 mana multi-strike is good. Seems like a lot of you are in consensus, just 2 mana. Don't change the attack or the effect. 2 mana might just be a good fix. I'm cool with that logic. You know, the other deck here a lot of you guys complain about is Quest Hunter. A lot of people are really sick of playing Quest Hunter specifically. Is there any way you guys would change Quest Hunter, the quest itself, or maybe some of the support cards? Now, of course, if Drekthar gets nerfed, that's going to pull a Quest Hunter down. I personally think that would be enough. Quest Hunter's already kind of just high tier 2. I don't think it needs a major nerf. So maybe Drekthar would be enough, but is there anything else you guys would do for Quest Hunter specifically? Same as Pirate Quest, increase the number of spells, so 3 spells, maybe on one stage, or I don't think I'd push it so far there. I don't know what it's like in Wild. Maybe if this card's a problem in Wild, that would be a reason to go harder against it. Is it still really good in Wild? In Standard, I don't think it needs like a 2 or 3 part nerf. I think one change in Standard would be more than efficient or sufficient. Deal damage on your turn, so Explosive Trap can't progress. That feels intuitive to me. I kind of always assumed it worked that way until you see it, you know, but that one's hard to kind of explain or write out, and it wouldn't fit very well. Deal damage with 2 spells on your turn would clog the text here. I agree that maybe bumping it to 3 on a single phase, probably not all phases, would be enough for me. I'm with Incredible Buff, that it's not totally ruining the meta or anything. It just needs a slight tweak. Is there any other card you guys would change instead? Like maybe Dragonbane Shot. Ferocious Owl. Now, Ferocious Owl is a crazy card. I think I gave this like 5 stars in reviews. I thought this was nuts. Maybe pushing this up a mana or 2. Wouldn't usually change the use case much, but very occasionally it would have that effect where it's like, ah, crap. I drew a card that's slightly too expensive this turn, and now I'm dead. If you push this to 3 or something, kind of that Divine Favor cost line. I wouldn't want to do all of these. I would only want to do like one of these at a time. Dragonbane could be reused this turn. I think Dragonbane, what it could actually be is, I think it could be add a Dragonbane Shot to your hand at the end of your turn. So you can't cycle like 3 of these in a single turn. You still get an infinite card, but maybe it just comes back at the end of turn. I haven't played this deck enough to know if that would totally kill it or not be enough or what, but it feels like you'd still have the flavor of the infinite card, but just couldn't go off for 1 turn like 3 times or whatever. Would you guys do anything for Paladin? Paladin actually has a lot of good decks. And I wonder if Cariel should go to 8 mana. Paladin's up there at the top of the meta. I get a lot of complaints about Cariel on YouTube. Almost as much as Mr. Smite. Basically, Control players complain about Mr. Smite a lot, and Quest Hunter a lot, and Demon Hunter a lot, and then aggro players all complain about Cariel. Aggro players, they hate Cariel. I love Cariel. Cariel's like one of my favorite cards ever. I love Cariel. I would be sad to see Cariel go to 8, but again, I acknowledge and recognize I'm not the only person playing the game. Weapon loses durability. I kind of don't hate that. It makes sense that if you want to get the damage, you sacrifice your weapon, but so you don't have infinite damage on top of all this defensive utility. I don't think it should lose durability based on when you take the damage, but if you want to attack, you sacrifice the durability. That's a fair change. I mean, pushing this to 8 is probably reasonable too. Honestly, it's still a really good card at 8. It would still be good in the like late game grindy control v control matchups, but it might not shut down aggro decks as much. Now, again, I would hate that personally. I love shutting down aggro decks with this card. I will be so sad, but I wonder. Is there anything else Paladin you guys might target? Obviously, Radar Detector is really good for Mech Paladin, but there's also Hand Buff Paladin. If you nerf Radar Detector, you're not going to nerf Hand Buff Paladin. And actually, currently, Hand Buff Paladin was higher, I think we saw. So any card that fits in both could be pretty nice. Jewel Kit. Oh, Jewel Kit's a good... Yeah, Jewel Kit definitely runs away with games you play it early. Yeah. Jewel Kit could be the answer. Maybe 2 durability, maybe 2 cost. I could see this getting changed. Maybe even like +1 attack instead of health or something. Okay, so I gotta talk about nerf or buffs, guys. Buffs. Let's pick out some cards you think might be buffed, particularly in Priest and Warlock, because those were mentioned specifically by Blizzard as potential buff targets. What would you like to see buffed to make Priest viable? Now, here's what I'll say. I don't think it'll be like Shellfish Mills stuff, and I don't think it'll be Boar Priest. I don't think those are decks Blizzard want to be good. They're both kind of weird and hard to play against and hard to play. I think it would be in the kind of Naga Miracle direction if they were going to make buffs to Priest. So things like Queen's Guard or Priestess Valish or Handsmaiden, right? I think these are the kinds of cards that might get buffed. Serpent Wig is a great example. Serpent Wig to 1/2. A couple of you seem to have mentioned that. I think that'd be fine. Yeah, I don't think that's a crazy suggestion. Gives your board a little bit more stabilization, which can be nice for cards like Bless and some of the follow-ups and stuff. Working with health is something Priest does. They tend to have buffs that bias towards health over attack. So yeah, 1/2 for Serpent Wig's not crazy to me. Somebody said Lyra to 4. I kind of like that. I think that's sort of cool. Lyra does not feel crazy at 5 to me in Standard. Maybe in Duels or something, but in Standard, not insane at 5. Pretty slow and hard to play. Lyra to 4 could help create some of those crazy pop turns a little earlier. Scary again, but maybe scary enough, but not too scary. I think it might fall in a good spot. Lyra to 4 is an interesting idea. Lyra was back this whole time. Indeed, yeah. 5 mana, she's obviously not doing the job. Could maybe do like Silence Priest stuff, buff Silence Priest, make this 3 mana or something. Might be too good with Shellfish Priest though. A Whirlpool to 7, maybe push a Control Priest. I kind of don't hate it. It's got this like symmetrical downside, right? It's obviously usually an upside to destroy copies wherever they are, but technically you could argue it's symmetrical, so making it cheaper than like a Twisting Nether is not inherently broken. I think 7's pretty dang cheap, but 7 has been a sweet spot for Priest removal in the past, to be fair. That's what we're thinking about. So what about Warlock, guys? Warlock is another one where I don't know if they want to buff Abyssal Curses too much. Abyssal Curses can be another one of those archetypes that's pretty frustrating to play against, like more combo driven, more unavoidable in some ways. I mean, obviously there's counters, keeping your hand full and stuff, but I'm not sure they'd want to push Curses too much. They might want to push Murlocs more, but then again, that's another kind of like minion tribal tempo deck, which they've already got mechs doing very well at the top of the meta. So I'm not sure they'd be looking to push Murlocs again, but I don't know. The Murlocs, as I look at them, don't really seem like they're that easy to tweak. I think if any of them change, like if this is 1/2s, that's too much. 2/1 buffs is too much. Stat line you don't want to change. Same thing here, too much. I think it might actually be Abyssals. Abyssal Wave to 5. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Still doesn't feel too broken. Kind of that Chaos Nova stat line with upside on the curse. This guy feels bad too. What's his name? Drag Below could be 3 mana, I think. Kind of that Shadow Bolt upside stat line. I don't know if you'd want to do all of these changes, but maybe 1 or 2. Push this to 3, Wave to 5. Either of those could do something. Yeah, Vesely, I agree that both Warlock and Priest have the same problem where they've kind of got a few different disparate packages competing for viability. And if it's hard to target one to like buff it and not buff the other or go too far in one direction. I agree with you. It's a cool restive game. A lot of people thought it worked that way anyway, so it might be a reasonable change, yeah. That could give you some more survivability, yeah. This game, your Abyssal Curses heal you for damage dealt. Something like that could fit if they reworded a little bit. I wouldn't hate that. It would definitely make the deck feel more control-oriented, but it might be really hard to beat. If you play this early enough, you're just going to be healing 1 billion while killing your opponent. That could be pretty frustrating. I don't think they're going to go that far. I think they might just make curses faster if they make them any better. Although I still don't know that you'd want to buff curses. Somebody mentioned buffing fell spells. That could be a different direction. Make like all these fell spells do a little better. Like this is suddenly 4 mana. There is that cool fell package coming in, Maybe this is a 2/2. That's not that crazy. Fellwalker maybe to 5 mana, that sort of stuff. Infestation to 5. Buff some of these fell spells. Fell Warlock could be a cool way to push the class. So Rogue was the other low performing class according to HS Replay. Blizzard didn't mention this one specifically, but is there anything you guys would do to buff Rogue? I think you got to be really careful because I think pirates are scary if they get too good because namely Swordfish is such an insane card. I might let Rogue kind of naturally percolate up a little bit based on the nerfs to every other class. I don't know that I would want to push Rogue because they're scary. Yeah, if I were going to push Rogue, it'd definitely be in the more Thief direction. Test to 7 mana, for instance. That'd be cool. Test to 7 could be fun. But yeah, I would be pretty hesitant to push Rogue too hard right now. I think it might be a natural winner as other decks decline. It seems like it has some pretty good core pieces, just sort of poised to strike, if you will, because that weapon's going to carry the class for a while. Is there any other just like pet cards or cards you think are really weak you'd like to see played, things that have gotten underplayed this expansion? Oh, Demon Hunter Colossal, that's a good thought. Yeah, it's done really bad. I thought this was going to be so much better, dude. I thought this was going to be a Priestess of Fury or whatever, but across 5 bodies, which I thought would be an upside because it'd be awkward to deal with. But instead, it's kind of a downside because AoEs deal with it so easily. I can see these going to 1/3s. It makes it better against a number of different AoEs and trades. Maybe make it 6 mana even. That might be too cheap, but I would like to see this buff for sure. Blackwater and Priest. Yeah, I agree with this one. This is really weak. Yeah, I'd make this cheaper. 7 mana or something. It's kind of crazy. 7 mana in the vacuum, but not in reality. Or maybe just change the mechanic or something. Maybe give it Rush as well, or, you know, I don't know, something that just makes it more reactive. Maybe give it Rush so that it kind of gets like a 2-part hit. Or Taunt. Taunt would be fitting too, yeah, Taunt as well. So you get like more opportunities to make it good. Divine Shield, yeah, it doesn't seem like a kind of card that have Divine Shield, but it would be a fix to the problem. Yeah, I like it from a design standpoint, less from a flavor standpoint, but yeah, Divine Shield would be helpful. Attack the highest damage minion. Yeah, that might be good too. Radiance of Ashara. That's a scary card to buff. I don't know if I'd change that one. Like, I feel like it's just waiting in the wings to be insane. It does a lot of stuff already. I don't think I'd change it much. It's like kind of nuts if you think about it. It just needs, it's been played a little bit. It gets scary quick. So, okay, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go eat dinner. That was a good chat. I think some good buff targets, some good nerf targets. I gotta go though.